You scroll into your TV, looking to watch a nice game of football. You see that Man City bagged their third goal in the game. What do? Decide to keep scrolling. But before you pick up your controller again, they've scored another. How the heck are they so good? Well, behind every show, there's a mastermind who made it. In this case, that mastermind is Josep Guardiola Sala. Let's find out just how good he was. Pep Guardiola was born on January 18, 1971 in Santpedor, Spain. He had two older sisters and one younger brother. From a young age, little Pep was addicted to playing football, and at the age of 13, he went to play in the Barcelona Youth Academy. During his professional career, he played as a defensive midfielder, but during his youth career, he played more as a defender, which isn't at all surprising due to him playing a more defensive position in the midfield during his years as a professional. Pep started playing at Barcelona B in the 89-90 season and played all the way to the 91-92 season. During Pep's stay there, he played a total of 59 matches and scored 5 goals and gave 0 assists. Oh, and if you're wondering what the Barcelona B is, it's basically a team where Barcelona can test young players in the lower divisions in Spain. The next season, the 92-93 season, current Barcelona manager Johan Cruyff called Pep up to the first team after seeing his talent, and the same year he quickly adapted to playing in Barcelona's first team, starting 39 games, scoring 2 goals and 2 assists throughout all competitions, which is decent for a defensive midfielder playing in a strong Barcelona team. The next season, 93-94, for Pep would be much better compared to his last one, scoring 0 but giving 9 assists in 48 games around all competitions. This was reasonable, but not as excellent compared to other players that season, such as Ryan Giggs, who played 53 games, scoring 50 goals and giving 9 assists. His best game this season was against Real Sociedad, where he gave all 3 assists in a 3-0 win. The 94-95 season was his worst one stats-wise, at least, as he only scored 2 goals and provided 0 assists in 38 games. But come on, let's be honest here. It's Pep Guardiola. I'm not trying to say that he wasn't good, but he is Pep Guardiola. In his defense, there have been great coaches that did not have great careers, such as Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho. He played so many seasons that it would take way too long for me to tell you all of them one by one. So here are his stats from the 95-96 season to the 2000-2001 season. He scored 15 and gave a whopping 36 assists in a span of 5 seasons. For a defensive midfielder, these are good stats, considering that in recent times, most defensive midfielders don't provide that many assists. Don't get me wrong, there are a few, but the majority of them don't do what Pep Guardiola did during those 5 seasons. The next season, he would leave Barcelona to move to Brescia Calcio, where he would stay there for 2 seasons, but only play 25 games, scoring 3 goals and giving 1 assist. He stopped playing during the 03-04 season and the 04-05 season, but came back during the 05-06 season to play 1 season at Dorados del Sinola at Liga MX Clausura. Not sure if I said that right. Liga MX Clausura is the top division in Mexico. During his stay, he played only 10 games and scored 1 goal, but did not give any assists. And before ending his career, he stopped at Roma, playing only 6 games without scoring or giving an assist. Before talking about his managerial career, here is a summary of his playing career and achievements. He played a total of 484 games and scored 21 goals and provided on a silver platter 48 assists. He played for a total of 5 teams, winning 1 Champions League, 6 La Ligas, 2 UEFA Super Cups, 1 UEFA Winners' Cup, which is no longer a team, 2 Copa del Reyes, a Super Copa de España, all of this with Barcelona. And then he won 1 Olympic gold medal with Spain, but as he won a total of 18 trophies. Pep Guardiola had a decently victorious career, and even though he won a bunch of titles, you can argue that these weren't the most important titles that a football player can obtain. Guardiola might not have had a super successful playing career, but as a coach, he was determined to become the best of the best. In the 07-08 season, he started training Barcelona B, and it only took him 1 year to be promoted to the professional team, where he stayed for 4 years, winning everything possible, including a treble in his very first season, winning La Liga, Copa del Rey, and the Champions League, which is already an impressive feat for his first season. During the next 3 seasons, he would win another Champions League, 2 Club World Cups, 2 more La Ligas, 2 UEFA Super Cups, 1 more Copa del Rey, and 2 Spanish Super Cups. And as he also won individual accolades, such as 2 World's Best Club Coach. During his time in Barcelona, his style of play, what we call tiki-taka, has destroyed multiple teams like Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, and has also beat Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu by a whopping 6-2. Sorry, Real Madrid fans. The next season, beating Atletico Madrid again by a score of 5-2, and Real Madrid by a score of 2-0. And away from home, in the 11-12 season, they beat Atletico Madrid 5-0. For some reason during this period, they loved beating up Atletico Madrid. Like, bro, in 3 seasons they scored 17 goals against Atletico Madrid. Just in case you didn't know, that's a lot of goals. Tiki-taka is a mode of play where you control the ball and play it around your opponent with simple quick touches until you get the ball into the back of the net. And quite frankly, it destroyed basically any team. With a prime Iniesta and Xavi at peak condition, and of course Messi, there isn't much to say about this team except phenomenal. The next season, Pep would not coach, but will be right back at it, this time in Germany, specifically Bayern Munich. His time in Germany wasn't great, as he had just finished managing a treble-winning Barcelona team, which of course meant that they expected nothing less than a Champions League, maybe even a treble. But it did not go to plan at all. His team consisted of a past prime Aaron Robben, still good nonetheless, a very new David Alaba, a 23-year-old Thiago, and a 31-year-old Frank Ribery. And Thomas Müller, still 24 surprisingly. On the 29th round of the Bundesliga, everything was going well until FC Augsburg thought they were the Galacticos and beat Bayern 1-0. And note that Bayern were playing at home. Not only that, they lost to Borussia Dortmund 3-0 at home and Real Madrid 1-0 at the Bernabeu and 4-0 at home. Let that sink in. 4-0. Okay, it's not happening again. This season was a one-time thing. That's all in the past, and nothing is going to stop Pep, and he is going to get this team together, and it will steamroll through everyone. 3-0 to Barcelona. Pep's former team, 3-0. Not only that, they also lost 3-2 to Man City. This isn't the powerful Man City. This is the Manchester City that was still building to be what it is today. Pep would help, but that's later. They also lost 3-1 to Porto, 2-0 to Leverkusen, 1-0 to Augsburg again, 2-1 to Freiburg, 4-1 to Wolfsburg. This team was in shambles, but they didn't sack him. Think of this. Nagelsmann, former Bayern coach, had won 100% of the 2022-23 Champions League campaign, and he gets sacked. But okay, it's Pep. He has some street cred left, partially because he had been a semi-finalist for the 2 years he was there, so he secured one more chance as the head coach. Let me tell you one thing. Bayern probably still have nightmares with Spanish teams, as in all 3 seasons Pep managed Bayern, they lost in the semi-final against Real Madrid, then against Barcelona, and now this season they will get to the semis again. Bayern Munich fans thought, this is our time, but Atletico Madrid appeared, beating them at Madrid 1-0 and losing 2-1 at Allianz Arena. But back then, they had the away goal difference, taking Atletico Madrid to the final. Oof. Just oof. That was the end of his spell in Munich. In the end, he did win trophies. They just weren't important. Well, to Bayern at least. He won 1 Club World Cup because when he got there, they had just won the Champions League. He also won 1 UEFA Super Cup, 2 DFB Pokals, 3 Bundesligas. In the end, he won 7 trophies. But let's be honest, with the team he had, probably anybody could have won that. Maybe even Frank Lampard. Okay, I may have gone too far there. He left a great spell at Bayern to join a Man City still in construction, with legends like Vincent Kompany leading the defense, Fernandinho, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Sergio Aguero, and more. They had just won the EFL Cup, but he did not win anything in his first season. And fun fact, this is still the only season to date that he did not win a single trophy during his professional coaching career. But anyways, carrying on, he had already created doubters, but his next season would be excellent for Manchester City's standard. Back then, winning the EFL Cup again and the Premier League. Pretty good, but honestly, the next season will be their best yet. They won the EFL Cup again, the FA Cup, the Community Shield, and the Premier League. The next season, they would win again the EFL Cup and the Community Shield. They would win the so-called best league in the world, aka the Premier League, and the EFL Cup. And the next season, they would only win the Premier League. After all, we are now back where we started, the 2022-23 season. But first, let's talk about the tactics for a little. Pep likes playing with quite a few tactics and formation, using the classic 4-3-3 attack, the 4-1-4-1, 4-4-2, the 3-4-2-1, and the 3-5-2. He uses the 4-3-3 a lot, more specifically, 20 out of the 48 games played this 2022-23 season. And while João Cancelo is out on loan to Bayern Munich, he was one of Pep Guardiola's most crucial players, as though he played as a left back. He goes deep into the midfield and delivers some of the most beautiful assists I have ever seen, like the one he gave to Haaland against Borussia Dortmund. That was incredible. He literally reincarnated Ricardo Quaresma. Another thing we see very often is Pep Guardiola transforming players into different positions, like the most recent man, John Stones. The guy has played center defensive mid next to Rodri. He sees things that no one else does, and does the closest things we probably see to magic, in the sports world at least. There was also this time, back when he was at Barcelona, he made Messi play as a false nine, and not only that, but during that time in Messi's career, he was able to play in a system that worked for him to play in that position. Okay, let's talk about Pep's play style. And like I've said earlier, he likes to have his team keep possession of the ball, and has an average of 64.8% in the Premier League this season, according to FotMob. They have 4.2% more than second place Liverpool. This is quite a lot, and you might think, oh, they are one of those teams who pass the ball around the box and hope for something good to happen, like Chelsea. But in reality, this team has a 2.6 XG, or expected goal, per match. And in 33 matches played at the time of recording, they have 87 goals in the Premier League. 87. Compared to PSG, who has an XG of 2.16 and 76 goals in 33 games as well. Also, let me remind you, they are playing in the weakest league of the top 5 leagues in Europe, and Manchester City is in the strongest and richest leagues in Europe. Pep Guardiola, who played under Johan Cruyff, he always stressed to his team the value of keeping the possession of the ball. This is shown in Pep's tactics, as he also values passing the ball quickly and making the ball run for you. And according to Football Critic, Manchester City averages 688 passes per game, the most of any team in the Premier League this season. And these tactics have clearly been working. On Sunday, July 24th, 2022, City started playing against Bayern in the USA Tour and beat them 1-0, with the only goal scored by Haaland. But that would only be a glimpse of what was to come, as in the next game they would lose to Liverpool in the Community Shield 3-1. Let's talk about the Premier League, as Manchester City would start their campaign well, as they would go unbeaten for 9 straight games, beating bitter rivals Manchester United 6-3. They only tied twice, once to Newcastle and once to Aston Villa. Sadly, Liverpool would end their unbeaten streak by beating them 1-0 with Salah's clutch 76-minute winner. They would only win their next 3 games before losing 2-1 to Brentford. Really? Well, at least Man City would go unbeaten in their next 3 games and would get their players ready to play Manchester United for a second time. 2-1 to Manchester United. To be fair here, there was an allowed Man United goal that should have never been allowed. And to be honest with you, this whole season, English VAR has been horrible. Like, think of it. If you put anybody in the place of the so-called trained VAR officials, they would do so much better. But Manchester City moves on, now going on a 3 unbeaten streak. That's right, folks. They would bottle their game, losing 1-0 to Tottenham Spurs. But after that, they would go on an unbeaten streak of 12 games, only in the Premier League, and are currently sitting first place, 1 point ahead of Arsenal, and with a game in hand, they would have basically won the title, and at this point, Premier League might as well give it to them. This is me here after the recording. They have already won the title, as I predicted a few days ago. So, yeah. Manchester City would start their campaign by absolutely trashing Sevilla 4-0. Then 2-1 against Borussia Dortmund. Then 5-0 against FC Copenhagen. Then a very boring tie, 0-0 against FC Copenhagen again. A 0-0 against Borussia Dortmund. And then 3-1 against Sevilla. They topped the group with 14 points, followed by Borussia Dortmund. Manchester City would be drawn against RB Leipzig, and they would only play themselves in 4 months. And during that time, Hound would score basically whenever he felt like it. And if you don't know, by now, it's basically every 10 minutes, man. Starting off with leg 1, Manchester City had come off a great run in the Premier League and in the group stage. This would be a thrill of a game, and it would end 1-1. With Mara scoring for Manchester City, and however you pronounce this guy's name, scoring for RB Leipzig. The second game would be sort of a thriller, I guess, because Manchester City absolutely crushed Leipzig 7-0. And as a Manchester City fan, I'm glad to say that I was very impressed, but kind of sad that Guardiola took Haaland out with 60 minutes into the game. Like, why? Come on, Guardiola. Better than this. The quarterfinals, they would play against Bayern Munich, and this game, I'm pretty sure a lot of people expected to be closer than the Leipzig game was, but statistically and mentally as well, Manchester City were backed up, as they had just come by destroying a team which is good. I'm not saying that RB Leipzig are bad. I'm saying that they're not the strongest. But Bayern aren't bad either. They were bad. They had just beaten PSG, of course, without Neymar, but they were coming in with a good chance to come, and they showed it with the first chance, and the game ended 3-0. I don't know really a lot to say about this, but Manchester City absolutely destroyed them. Shout out to Rodri, that was a beautiful goal, man. The second leg, it was closer, tighter, because Bayern Munich needed goals, and honestly, I thought Man City was going to score more than they scored, because they had the better chance, they had the better team, but the game ended 1-1. And if you haven't heard already, Manchester City are in the finals. They have already beaten Real Madrid, destroyed them in fact, and now I'm hoping for the first Champions League title. Pep Guardiola has been criticized many times for not winning Champions League with stacked teams like the Bayern Munich team. They had just won the Champions League and had about the same team, but this year he seems to have it on point, as Manchester City are currently the best team in Europe and have a good chance of beating Arsenal to the title and a decent chance of beating Real Madrid in the semi-final. So before I end the video, here is a summary of all the trophies Pep has won as a coach. Barcelona, he won 2 Champions League, 2 Club World Cups, 3 La Ligas, 2 UEFA Super Cups, 2 Copa del Reys, 2 Spanish Super Cups, also winning 2 World's Best Club Coach. At Bayern Munich, he won 1 Club World Cup, he also won 1 UEFA Super Cup, he won 2 DFB Pokals, 3 Bundesligas, he also won 4 Premier Leagues at Manchester City, 1 FA Cup, 2 Community Shields, 4 EFL Cups, and so Pep Guardiola has won a total of 34 trophies as it stands now, but it will be impossible for him not to win more titles in the future. Also, this video took so long to write the script, record, and edit, so if you liked it, like, subscribe, and comment on the video for ideas for me to do in the future. See ya!